it's Diana looking at Brandy and Dracula here at the intersection of food and literature. Okay, I'm going to say this because it's in my head for several reasons. I guess the main reason is I've been reading news articles, and education being some sort of, I don't know, brainwashing. That's a harsh term that wasn't used in the reports, but so this seems very educational. I guess it's what this is to me, is a model to show that literature is accessible, that a reader can take any aspect of it and use that as a door to have an experience with the literature. For me, food is what I choose often because I like food. Also, it's very usually found in literature because people eat and they drink. So here I am talking, well, I'm going to be talking about Brandy, but when I do an analysis, I'm not saying this is how you should think of Dracula. This is how I think of Dracula. And hey, go find your version of Dracula. That sounds so weird. Okay, so the real deal today is Brandy. So I looked at Brandy, and the first thing I thought was, what the heck is Brandy? Brandy is a distillation. Let me get up my notes to make sure. Of wine. So a liquor produced by distilling wine. And I'm like, okay, well, what's distilling? And that it's a series of condensation and evaporation with a purpose. There's condensation and evaporation a lot of times on my windows at night. That is not distilling any liquor. It's just the weather and the air conditioning. I am very all over the place today. That's okay. And one of the things, and to go back to Dracula, when I talked about the story, my question was, this seems to be used medicinally as an antidote. Not an antidote like this is anti-vampire, but as a medicinal antidote to what is happening to the people who are being drained of blood. So I had two questions. One, what the heck is Brandy? And two, is it really medicinal? So Brandy is a liquor produced by distilling wine, but it can also be made from the distillation of mushed fruit that aren't necessarily grapes. So it's fruit-based or wine-based is what I came away with. That's a simple answer. I did go last night and have a little bit of Brandy. I had it in a mixed drink. The one mixed drink that came to mind is a Brandy Alexander, because a restaurant I worked in when I was in college served them. The Brandy Alexanders there were made with ice cream. It was like an adult shake. And I've had them before, they're yummy. So I ordered a Brandy Alexander, which was not made with ice cream, but it was made with cream, and she shook it. She shook two at the same time. It's very impressive. Like, ooh. Anyway, good workout. Her arms look very nice. Two, because not because I had two, but because Michael had one and I had one. And I asked for a little bit of the brandy on the side. So little tiny few drops of brandy, and it did smell like wine. Like I could smell it. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I would have picked that up if I didn't know it, but knowing and looking for wine, check. I forgot what brand she used. Anyway, another thing was, to me, when I, excuse me just a minute. I'm back to coffee and not brand. When I tasted it, it tasted a lot like whiskey to me. But I don't have a sophisticated palate, and all whiskey kind of makes me go, not my favorite. Anyway, so that's, the Brandy Alexander was very good. So you can mix it. I think most of the time of their drink menu, there was one the Brandy Alexander. That was a mixed drink on their menu made with brandy. Usually brandy is thought of, at least in my head, of being sipped by itself after dinner, which comes to the next point, which was, besides what it is, and there are different types of brandies. Like brandy can be a category, and then there are subcategories, like Basset Hounds are a subcategory of dog. That's always my example. And I'm not going to go into those. There are quite a lot of them. Some of them are area specific, so you can have an Italian one and a French one. Is that brandy is an after dinner drink, an after dinner digestif, which means it's drank to aid digestion. And then my question is, does it really? And in what quantities? But mostly, does it really? And I looked up several places, and I kept getting competing answers. Some say yes, some say no, some say no evidence. So I don't know. I'm not going to take it up to aid my digestion. I will drink ginger tea. But that's what it's thought to do, aid digestion. Some pros, some cons. Let's see, what else did I find out about brandy? Oh, when I looked up, I gotta put my hair up. When I looked up mixed drinks made with brandy, there were quite a lot of them. And I had heard of more than just the Brandy Alexander. So I was kind of surprised. Now, besides the digestive aiding properties of brandy, I looked up is brandy, does it have medicinal properties? And I looked at two different things. One was an academic paper, and I only looked at the abstract. And the abstract said the latter 19th and early 20th century. This is kind of what the abstract was looking at. This fits right in with Dracula. And at that time, it was thought to be a cardiac stimulant and seemed to increase cardiac output and blood pressure, and to be a sedative. This is like check with Dracula. Cardiac, blood. And then the sedative part. Okay, so that's going to be with the analysis. Like, okay, so somebody is being attacked by a monster. Let's sedate them so she gets some good sleep. Okay. And then the other article I looked at was very much different. Not at all an academic article. It was on grandoldhouse.com, which from what I looked at, it looks like a hotel with maybe a restaurant where was it? It was on an island. I didn't write it down. You can look it up if you want to. So it said, yes, and here are the 5 things that brandy does medicinally, but it offered no support. And to me, it's like questionable. Okay, you have a bar. Why not say hey, look at all these good things the liquor can do. Come on and I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm saying I question it because of the source, and then it's just, these, and here they are the reasons. I mean, here are the things, not the reason. So, but here are the 5, just for fun. It's a sleeping aid. Okay, well, that was with the other article too. And alcohol is a sedative, so that's, sleeping aid. Reduces weight and cholesterol. Anti-aging properties. This, when I read, it had more to do with the fruit that's used, like the properties of the fruit that's used to make the brandy, than the actual brandy itself. And then I wonder, are those properties still there? And I don't know. Alleviates inflammation in arteries. There we're going with the cardiac thing again. Boosts the immune system. Oh, and also with the alleviates inflammation in the arteries. It lowers blood pressure and prevents other cardiovascular problems. So what's interesting to me is, even if whether or not it does these things, the perception is it does, and the perception for when Dracula was written was it does. So that's pretty significant to me in looking at Brandy and Dracula. I like looking at the liquor things and finding out about it, since I am not savvy, not a big bar goer, and found this very interesting. Enjoyed my little Brandy Alexander. And next week, I'm gonna dive in to, like, my head is already spinning with how all these properties of Brandy and the perceptions of Brandy connect to the book Dracula and the story Dracula. So exciting.